What's up, guys? It's me here. So whether you love him or hate him, it's undeniable that Jake Paul has been a good thing for boxing. In just 4 fights, he's headlined 3 pay-per-views. He's developed a few rivalries with fellow influencers and ex-NBA players. And most importantly, he's making people buy. People say they don't like him, but they keep coming back to watch him. However, his next opponent will be his toughest test, by far. That's because on November 28th, Jake Paul will take on Mike Tyson. Yes, the undisputed heavyweight champion of the 90s. The man who made the phrase, "It's human," a household word. After years of constant teases, the pair have officially signed their contract, and the Zella boxer will soon get his wish to finally face off against the most ferocious heavyweight in history. So to help you prepare for what is sure to be one of the most controversial events of the year, let's take a closer look at this fight. Starting with the obvious. How did this fight even happen? Well, after Jake Paul knocked out Tyron Woodley last December, he wasted no time calling out Mike Tyson, saying, "I want to make this fight happen." That's a super exciting fight for the fans, for everybody. Me and Mike Tyson can both sell this fight easy. I think that's a legacy-defining fight. That's a big challenge. And then months later, Tyson responded during an interview with Shannon Sharpe saying, "I'd never fought a fatter person in my life. It would be a great challenge. It would be something I've never done before. It's a whole different challenge. He's a big, fatter guy. That's a whole different challenge. It's definitely a challenge. But I'm up for the challenge. And if that wasn't enough, they even ran into each other at an event where they decided to bury the hatchet and exchange some pleasantries. But, with all of that being said, how does this matchup actually play out? Well, first we gotta take a look at the odds, because as of right now, Jake Paul is a heavy underdog with 4-1 odds, while Mike Tyson is the overwhelming favorite with 1-6 odds. And those odds don't really seem like they're gonna change either. According to ESPN's Mark Kriegel, the current plan is for Tyson to weigh in at a cruiserweight limit of 200 pounds, which means he won't have to rehydrate over 220 like he was previously doing. And that brings us to our first prediction. Mike Tyson will not rehydrate for this fight. Throughout Tyson's training, he's looked extremely lean, and it's been reported that he wants to stay this way. This might not be the same Mike Tyson from the 90s. Even if he does rehydrate, he's 54 years old and nowhere near his prime. As he says himself, he's simply too old. In terms of height and reach, Jake Paul has a 3-inch advantage over Tyson, but that's about where his advantages end. Because in terms of overall skill, Tyson is widely regarded as one of the most talented heavyweights of all time. If this were a technical boxing match, Jake Paul wouldn't stand a chance. But this isn't a technical boxing match. This is a spectacle. And there are plenty of ways to win a spectacle that doesn't involve getting a knockout or winning a unanimous decision. You could cause a disqualification. You could bait your opponent into a penalty, or you could just make him quit. All of which are very plausible against Mike Tyson. We've seen how easily he gets frustrated. And if Jake Paul comes in and starts swinging wildly, there's a chance that Tyson could get disqualified for hitting back. Just ask Trevor Burbick. On top of that, Tyson has a history of biting off more than he can chew. Look no further than his last fight against Roy Jones Jr. Like Jake Paul, Jones was technically superior to Tyson, so he tried to make the fight dirty and low, but unlike Jake Paul, he didn't have the heart or conditioning to go the full 8 rounds. And honestly, that's probably going to be the biggest difference maker in this entire fight. Most people don't realize this, but Jake Paul is a phenomenal athlete. He's well-trained, he's exceptionally durable, and most importantly, he has the heart of a champion. We saw this last year when he took on Bennis. Not only did he knock him out in a spectacular fashion, but he also had a broken nose the entire fight, and he didn't even realize it until after. Also keep in mind that Jake Paul has sparred with Canelo Alvarez, and according to Eddie Hearn, he actually held his own. With that being said though, come fight night! This is still going to be Mike Tyson, and I don't know what version of Mike shows up. If it's the cool.com/collected Mike Tyson, then Jake Paul is in for a rough night. But if it's the hot-headed, passionate Mike Tyson, then Jake Paul could make this last a lot longer than expected. But let's be real here. The only reason this fight even exists is because of the name recognition. Without that, it's hard to imagine Jake Paul getting anywhere near this level of exposure. Now, to be fair, he's earned this opportunity. He's 4-0, and he's bringing in a lot of eyes to the sport of boxing. But let us just take a step back and look at all of the things that went right for him to get here. First, Floyd Mayweather turned down the opportunity to fight Jake Paul. And without that, this whole situation never happens. Second, Logan Paul distracts the media and gives people a reason to care about this event besides the fact that Mike Tyson is competing. Third, the pandemic allowed for more opportunities for people to get into combat sports. Just look at Francis Ngannou. Fourth, YouTube was a perfect breeding ground for combat sports. And fifth, people were tired of the drama surrounding boxing and wanted to see a fresh face. Basically, everything went right for Jake Paul to get here. Every single thing! Not to mention, if this were any other boxer, it'd be laughed out of the gym. But this is Mike Tyson we're talking about. The most recognizable face in the history of combat sports. And to be honest, I'm pretty upset that this is the direction that combat sports are heading. I mean, just look at the UFC. They put John Jones above Francis Ngannou despite being a convicted domestic abuser, and now they're looking to bring in Nate Diaz to save the sinking ship. Don't get me wrong, I love Nate Diaz, but just like Jake Paul, he's done more for business than actual fighting. Sure, he's a fan favorite and he's a great fighter, but let's be honest, without Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and a bunch of other online platforms, neither him nor Jake Paul would have reached this level of stardom. Anyway, the point is that this is happening and there's nothing we can do to stop it. And honestly, I'm kind of excited. I think it'll be fun to see how these two completely different eras of combat sports collide. It'll be interesting to see if Jake Paul has the heart and endurance to last 8 rounds. And it'll also be interesting to see if Mike Tyson can maintain the same mentality that he had in his day. As far as a prediction goes, I have to give the edge to Mike Tyson. I think he finds a way to pull out a victory. Maybe through disqualification, maybe in the late rounds when Jake Paul gets fatigued, or maybe if Tyson comes out in the first round with a fury. Either way, I think Mike Tyson wins. But I hope that I'm wrong. I really hope that Jake Paul pulls off the upset. Not because I think he can. Because I think that's better for the sport. For any other diehard boxing fans out there, with that being said, you guys, let me know who you think is going to win in the comments below. And as always, stay tuned for updates.